What if I told you that a 2,000-year-old philosophy could be the very reason millionaires, Olympic athletes, and even modern soldiers keep their minds unshaken in the middle of chaos? Sounds unbelievable, right? But here's the shocker. Stoicism isn't dead philosophy. It's a living toolkit for survival. Think about it. If ancient philosophy was truly useless, then why are CEOs reading Marcus Aurelius in their morning routines? Why are NFL players quoting Seneca before big games? Why do soldiers on the battlefield still rely on Stoic principles to keep calm under fire? Clearly, there's something powerful here that hasn't faded with time. Look at Marcus Aurelius himself, the Roman emperor who ruled during wars and plagues. He didn't have the luxury of calm mornings or stress-free days. Yet he left behind journals reminding himself to stay grounded, to focus only on what he could control, and to accept life's hardships with strength. Fast forward 2,000 years, and we are still facing our own plagues: social media addiction, overwhelming news cycles, constant anxiety about the future. Different century, same chaos. And here's the hook. Stoicism works in 2025, not because it's old, but because human struggles haven't changed. Stress, fear, and uncertainty are universal. The Stoics handed us a playbook, one that doesn't expire. When Seneca said, "It's not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it," doesn't that sound like he was talking about endless scrolling on TikTok, binge-watching Netflix, or losing hours to email? It's almost as if he predicted our modern distractions. So in the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly why Stoicism still matters today, and more importantly, how you can start using it immediately to calm your mind, sharpen your focus, and build resilience in a world that constantly pulls you off balance. This isn't about memorizing quotes from dead philosophers. This is about applying timeless tools to survive and thrive in the chaos of modern life. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could change the way you handle every challenge that comes your way starting today. Let's be honest. Life today feels overwhelming. We wake up to dozens of notifications, endless emails, breaking news headlines, and the pressure to keep up with social media feeds that never stop. Our brains are constantly bombarded, scrolling, swiping, reacting. And yet, with all this so-called connection, most of us feel more distracted, more anxious, and more burned out than ever before. Now imagine this. If the Stoic philosopher Seneca lived in 2025, what would he say to us? Probably something brutally honest like, "You are not living. You are just scrolling your life away." That line may sting a little, but it cuts to the truth. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think about that for a moment. 2,000 years ago, he was warning people about wasting their lives. Back then, the distractions were things like chasing wealth, attending endless banquets, or obsessing over status in the Roman Senate. Today, our distractions come in the form of TikTok loops, Instagram reels, and Netflix binges that swallow entire weekends. Different packaging, same problem. And here's the kicker. Our modern world is engineered to keep us hooked. Social media platforms are built on algorithms designed to capture your attention and never let it go. Every notification, every endless scroll is tapping into the same human weakness the Stoics were warning about centuries ago: the inability to control where we place our focus. So here's the question. If Seneca could see how much of our lives disappear into screens, what advice would he give? He wouldn't tell us to throw away our phones. He'd remind us to live deliberately, to stop confusing activity with progress, and to take back control of the one resource we can never replace: our time. And I want you to picture this for a second. The average American spends over 2 hours a day on social media. That's more than 700 hours a year. Imagine what else you could do with that time. Learn a new skill, strengthen your body, rebuild a relationship, or even just find some peace of mind. Stoicism tells us that the cost of distraction isn't just lost minutes. It's lost opportunities, lost clarity, and eventually lost meaning in life. Here's a practical example. How many times have you picked up your phone to just check one thing, and suddenly 45 minutes are gone? Your coffee is cold, your to-do list is untouched, and your mind feels scattered. That's the modern version of what Seneca described life slipping away. Not because it's too short, but because we let it leak out in tiny, unnoticed ways. And this is where Stoicism becomes more than just ancient words. It's not about memorizing philosophy, it's about building habits that help us survive in this chaos. For instance, one Stoic practice is to pause and ask yourself, is this in my control? When you open your phone and start doom scrolling, ask, am I choosing this, or is it choosing me? That tiny question can break the spell, and suddenly you're no longer a prisoner of your screen. Another Stoic insight is the idea of memento mori. Remember that you will die. Not in a morbid way, but as a reminder that life is finite. Imagine if every time you open TikTok, a message popped up saying, you have one less hour to live. Would you still keep scrolling? Probably not. Stoicism forces us to face that uncomfortable truth, not to scare us, but to push us to use our time wisely. The irony is, we live in an age of abundance, information, entertainment opportunities, and yet abundance without discipline leads to chaos. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic emperor, wrote in his journal, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That perspective can snap you out of mindless scrolling and back into living. So let me ask you, how many hours of your week are you truly living? And how many are you just giving away to distraction? This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And the truth is, Seneca's warning wasn't just for Romans 2,000 years ago, it's for us right now as we drown in notifications, ads, and endless feeds. Here's the hook that makes this matter: the modern world will not slow down for you. It will keep pulling you into noise, into comparison, into stress. But Stoicism gives you a shield, a way to step back, reclaim focus, and remember what actually matters. In a sense, Stoicism is not old wisdom. It's a survival toolkit for the digital battlefield we all live in. And here's where the choice is yours. You can keep scrolling, letting your time slip away in tiny fragments, or you can stop, breathe, and ask, what would Seneca say about how I'm living today? That one question could be the first step toward building the calm, clarity, and control that most people around you will never have. So the next time you find yourself lost in the chaos of modern life, remember this: it's not life that's short, it's attention that's fragile. Guard it, protect it, because in the end, your focus is your life. Let's face it, life isn't smooth sailing. We deal with traffic jams that test our patience, unexpected bills that wreck our plans, heartbreak that shakes us to the core, and setbacks at work that make us question everything. Chaos is everywhere. But what if I told you there's a way to walk through all of it without losing your center? Imagine if every time chaos hit, traffic jam, job loss, heartbreak, you could stay unshaken. That's Stoicism. And the real magic of Stoicism is that it isn't abstract philosophy. It's practical. It's a set of tools you can use right now. At its core, Stoicism rests on 3 timeless principles that are as useful today as they were 2,000 years ago. The Stoics taught us that most of our suffering doesn't come from events themselves, it comes from our resistance to them. We waste energy wishing things were different instead of focusing on what we can actually do. Picture this: you're stuck in traffic, running late for an important meeting. You can pound the steering wheel, yell at other drivers, and let your blood pressure spike. But will that clear the road? No. The Stoic approach: accept the traffic. Use the time to breathe, to listen to an audiobook, to think through your next move calmly. The external world is out of your control. Your response is not. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, said it best. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's as relevant in a freeway jam today as it was in ancient Rome. We live in a culture obsessed with comfort, fast food at your door, in minutes, endless entertainment at the tap of a finger, and devices designed to make everything easier. But here's the paradox: the more we chase comfort, the weaker we become. The Stoics believed discipline is the foundation of freedom. Think about an athlete preparing for the Olympics. Training is grueling. Diets are strict. Sleep schedules are unforgiving. Yet all that discipline leads to strength, resilience, and victory. The same applies to everyday life. If you can choose discipline over comfort, whether it's exercising instead of snoozing, saving instead of spending, or speaking the truth instead of staying silent, you build unshakable inner power. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, reminded himself each morning, at dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. In other words, stop choosing the soft path. Life demands strength. Our culture sells the illusion that happiness comes from fame, wealth, or likes on a screen. But history is full of wealthy, famous, and miserable people. The Stoics argued that true fulfillment comes not from chasing external rewards, but from living with virtue, being honest, courageous, fair, and wise. Think about it: money can vanish overnight. Fame fades as quickly as it arrives. But your character, that's yours to build and protect. A business leader might lose millions in a market crash, but if they remain fair, resilient, and honorable, they keep the one thing that matters most: self-respect. And that's the kind of foundation no storm can shake. Seneca once wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." In other words, if your happiness is built on things outside your control, you're always at risk. But if it's built on virtue, nothing can take it away. So how do these principles look in action today? Athletes picture a basketball player stepping onto the court with thousands of people screaming. Distractions are everywhere. Pressure is sky high. A Stoic athlete stays calm by focusing only on what's in their control: their effort, their mindset, their next shot. Not the scoreboard, not the crowd, not the referee. Soldiers. On the battlefield, fear and uncertainty could paralyze anyone. Yet soldiers who embrace Stoic discipline keep their composure, follow their training, and make decisions under extreme pressure. Their calm saves lives. Entrepreneurs. Imagine losing millions in a single bad investment. Most people would crumble, but a Stoic-minded entrepreneur sees it as a lesson, not the end. They don't cling to money as their identity. They stay disciplined, rebuild, and rise stronger. This isn't just theory, it's happening every day around us. Stoicism is alive wherever resilience and calm win over chaos. Here's the key insight. Stoicism doesn't promise a world without problems. It promises a stronger you in the face of problems. Life will always throw curveballs: illness, rejection, failure. But if you live by these three principles, control what you can choose, discipline, focus on virtue, you can walk through storms without being destroyed by them. So let me ask you, how different would your life look if you applied just one of these principles today? How much calmer would you feel if you stopped fighting what you can't change? How much stronger would you be if you chose discipline over the easy way out? How much freer would you feel if you stopped chasing fame and started living with virtue. That's the practical power of Stoicism. It's not about quoting philosophers. It's about building a life where chaos no longer controls you. Here's a question worth asking. If Stoicism could guide a Roman emperor through wars and plagues 2,000 years ago, why wouldn't it work for you in 2025? Think about Marcus Aurelius, often called the philosopher king. He didn't write his meditations sitting peacefully in a quiet garden. He wrote them in military camps surrounded by conflict, disease, and betrayal. He lived in constant uncertainty. Will the empire collapse? Will his people survive? Will his own health give out? And yet, he faced it all with calm determination, leaving behind a journal of wisdom that still speaks to us today. Now fast forward to modern times. We've just lived through our own global pandemic. We're facing economic instability, political division, endless breaking news cycles, and the constant pressure of technology that keeps us on 24/7. Different century, same chaos. The outer form changes, but the inner struggle is identical: fear, anxiety, and the question of how to stay steady when the world feels out of control. That's why Stoicism hasn't faded into history. It's been tested in fires far harsher than anything most of us will ever experience: wars, financial collapses, personal tragedies, and it still holds up. The wisdom of the Stoics isn't fragile. It's battle-tested. And here's the hook in a way: Stoicism is like a mental health app, except it's free, and it doesn't require a subscription. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need an update, and you don't need to pay $9.99 a month. All you need is the willingness to practice. Imagine having a portable toolkit for your mind, available 24/7, that helps you stay calm, focused, and resilient. That's exactly what Stoicism offers. Let's make this concrete. During the Great Depression in the 1930s, millions of people lost their jobs, their homes, and their sense of security. For many, it was Stoic-like principles, accepting what couldn't be changed, focusing on effort rather than despair, holding on to integrity in desperate times, that allowed them to endure. Or take the Second World War. Soldiers on both sides discovered that the only way to survive mentally was to control their responses to fear, uncertainty, and loss. Some even carried Marcus Aurelius's meditations into the trenches. Imagine that a Roman emperor's words, whilst 800 years old at the time, still providing comfort in the most brutal conditions of the 20th century. And then consider our own recent crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic. For months, people faced isolation, fear of death, economic collapse, and a constant flood of uncertainty. Those who embraced Stoic practices, like focusing only on what they could control, finding discipline in daily routines, and reminding themselves that life is fragile and precious, were better equipped to handle the storm. So here's the truth: the reason Stoicism still works is because human nature hasn't changed. Technology has evolved, medicine has advanced, society has transformed. But our minds still wrestle with fear, anger, jealousy, grief, and desire, just as they did 2 millennia ago. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't waste time chasing the impossible dream of controlling everything outside themselves. Instead, they focused on mastering their inner world. And that's why their wisdom still resonates today. But let's make this personal. Ask yourself, how do you respond when life throws you a curveball, a sudden job loss, a breakup you didn't see coming, a medical diagnosis that turns your world upside down? Do you panic? Do you drown in anger? Or do you take a breath and remind yourself, this is not in my control? What I can control is my response. That's the essence of Stoicism. It doesn't make life easy. It makes you strong. And here's another perspective. We live in a world that sells us endless solutions to stress, self-help books, apps, courses, retreats. Some of them help, some of them don't. But Stoicism is the rare tool that's proven itself across every era, every crisis, every human life stage. And it costs nothing. It's been hiding in plain sight, waiting for you to pick it up. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, whether it's by news headlines, bills piling up, or uncertainty about the future, remember this. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues and wars with nothing but Stoic principles to guide him. If it worked for him, if it worked for soldiers in the trenches, if it worked for people during the Great Depression, then why wouldn't it work for you right now in 2025 if beast term? Maybe that's the secret we've been missing. We keep searching for new hacks, new systems, new ways to manage stress. But the real answer might be as old as Rome. A philosophy that teaches you to control your mind, guard your time, and hold on to your values no matter what life throws at you. Stoicism still works because life hasn't changed where it matters most. And the sooner you start practicing it, the sooner you'll realize you don't need the world to calm down in order to find peace. You only need to master yourself. Here's the truth. Philosophy only matters if you can use it. It's not enough to admire Marcus Aurelius or quote Seneca on Instagram. The question is, how do you actually apply Stoicism in your daily life? How do you take an ancient philosophy and turn it into something that makes tomorrow less stressful, more focused, and more meaningful? The good news is that you don't need hours of study or years of practice. You can begin today in less than 15 minutes with 3 simple Stoic habits. And if you commit to them for just 7 days, I promise you'll feel calmer and more centered than most people around you. The Stoics believed that how you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings reminding himself, "Today I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He wasn't being negative, he was preparing his mind. He knew that if he set expectations early, he wouldn't be surprised or thrown off by reality. So how can you do the same? Start your day with a 5-minute journal. Before you grab your phone, before the news floods, your mind write down 3 things: what you're grateful for, what challenges you expect, how you intend to respond. It's simple, but powerful. Instead of reacting to the world, you're programming your mind to act with clarity. Imagine walking into your day already knowing how you'll face difficulties. That's Stoicism in action. This one might sound strange at first, but it's one of the most powerful Stoic practices. The idea is simple. Occasionally, imagine losing the things you take for granted: your health, your job, your loved ones. Not to scare yourself, but to deepen your appreciation for what you still have. Seneca advised his students to rehearse misfortune, to think about life without comfort, so they wouldn't be shocked if it ever came. In modern terms, it's like a mental vaccine against loss and anxiety. Here's an example. Instead of complaining about traffic on the way home, picture what life would be like if you no longer had a car, or worse, if you couldn't drive anymore. Suddenly that commute feels like a privilege. Or consider your partner, your child, your parent. Imagine just for a moment that they weren't there. When you see them again, you'll naturally treat them with more love, more patience, more gratitude. This practice rewires your brain. Instead of constantly craving what you don't have, you start appreciating what's right in front of you. And in a world obsessed with endless consumption, gratitude is a superpower. The Stoics believed in accountability, not to others, but to themselves. At night, they would replay their day and ask, what did I do well? What did I do poorly? What can I do better tomorrow? Think of it like a personal scoreboard, not for competition, but for growth. Instead of beating yourself up, you're calmly analyzing. Maybe you lost your patience in traffic. Maybe you gave in to temptation and skipped the gym. Or maybe you showed kindness when you could have chosen anger. Write it down, learn from it, adjust for tomorrow. This practice is incredibly grounding. Instead of letting days blur together in a haze of distraction, you create a rhythm, reflect, learn, improve. Every night becomes an opportunity to reset so you wake up stronger than before. Notice something about these 3 practices. They don't require money apps or long hours of meditation. They require only your attention and a few minutes of honesty. Morning reflection anchors you before chaos begins. Negative visualization trains you to love what you already have. Evening review ensures that every day contributes to your growth. Together, they form a cycle, a rhythm of self-mastery. And the best part, anyone can do it. A busy parent, a stressed-out college student, a CEO running a company. Stoicism doesn't care about your job title or your bank account. It cares about your choices, your mindset, and how you show up in the world. So here's my challenge to you: do this for 7 days. That's it. For 1 week, start your morning with 5 minutes of reflection, practice gratitude through negative visualization, and end your day with an honest review. After 7 days, notice how you feel. Notice how much calmer you are in traffic, how much more grateful you are for your relationships, and how much less reactive you are to bad news. Because here's the truth: most people drift through life reacting to every distraction, chasing every impulse. But the Stoics lived with intention. And when you live with intention, you stop being controlled by the chaos around you. At the end of the day, Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It's about being unshaken. It's about building a mind so steady that no storm, whether it's a traffic jam, a financial setback, or even a personal loss, can knock you down. And that strength doesn't come from theory. It comes from practice. So start practicing. 7 days. 3 simple habits. And then ask yourself if something this small can shift your mindset so much. Imagine what a lifetime of Stoic living could do. So let's bring it all together. Stoicism isn't just dusty philosophy from 2,000 years ago. It's not about memorizing Latin quotes or pretending you don't feel emotions. Stoicism is a daily shield against chaos. It's a practical way to face modern life with strength, clarity, and calm. Think about what we've explored: controlling what you can, accepting what you can't, choosing discipline over comfort, and focusing on virtue instead of chasing fame or money. These aren't abstract ideas. They're tools you can carry with you every single day. Tools that have helped emperors survive wars, soldiers survive battlefields, and everyday people survive heartbreak and loss. And here's the truth: the world isn't going to slow down. The news will keep breaking, social media will keep buzzing, problems will keep showing up when you least expect them. But the one thing you can change, the one thing you can always strengthen, is how you respond. That's what Stoicism gives you. Not a world without problems, but a mind strong enough to rise above them. Now let me ask you, what's the point of knowing all this if you don't put it into action? Watching this video is the first step, but transformation only happens when you practice. So here's my challenge to you tonight. Before you go to bed, try one Stoic habit. Maybe it's writing a short reflection in your journal. Maybe it's practicing negative visualization, reminding yourself to appreciate what you already have. Or maybe it's as simple as reviewing your day and asking, what can I do better tomorrow? Do this once, and you'll feel the difference. Do it for a week, and you'll be calmer than most people around you. Do it for a lifetime, and you'll be unshakable. And if this video opened your eyes, don't just stop here. Hit that subscribe button right now, because in the next video, I'm going to reveal the one Stoic exercise Marcus Aurelius used every single morning to prepare himself to rule an empire. Trust me, it's a habit that could change the way you start every day of your life. So don't just watch. Don't just nod in agreement. Take action. Practice one Stoic habit tonight. And when you wake up tomorrow, remember you're not just living another day. You're training your mind to become stronger than the chaos of the modern world.